I'm sure there are many of you out there who enjoy watching Korean dramas. They are very popular all around the world. But have you ever stopped and thought about the code switching between Korean and English that occurs in these dramas? Hello everyone, this is Fatima Jabara from the University of Sydney. In this video, I'm going to be presenting my final research project, which is a requirement of the unit of study Language, Society and Power in my first semester of study of the Masters of Cross-Cultural Communication in 2016. For my project, I will be analysing Korean dramas in search for any code switching between Korean and English that may occur in the characters' dialogues as well as their monologues. Now, before I get into it, I should first define what code switching is. Some of you who may be familiar with Korean dramas may already be thinking, yep, there's a lot of that English thing going on in the Korean language. Well, that is true. There are quite a lot of English words used in the Korean language, but what you may be referring to is lexical borrowing and not code switching. It is very important to make a distinction between the two. Lexical borrowing is defined by Haspelmath as being the phenomenon whereby a loan word at some point during the history of a language entered its lexicon, that is a vocabulary, as a result of borrowing or transfer or copying. After World War II, Korea became more globalized and in touch with the rest of the world, and as a result, the Korean language started to include many loanwords. Today, 90% of these loanwords are from English. Code switching, however, is defined by Moskin and Milroy as the alternating use of several languages by bilingual speakers. There are 4 types of code switching techniques defined by scholars. However, in this study, I will be focusing on 2, intrasentential, switching within a sentence, and intersentential, switching between sentences. This may seem a little confusing at the moment, so to make things more clear, I will demonstrate this with an example. Code switching would be something like this. Let's say there are 2 friends, June and Max. Max asks June, "Where are you off to?" To which June replies, "I'm going shopping to buy a singing songboard for Sarah." Max then says, "Oh, 그래? I was on my way to buy her a present too. 같이 갈래?" June says, "Sure, 가자." This is an example of code switching where June and Max switch from English to Korean and back to English. When Max asks June where she was going, June replies she's on her way to buy a singing songboard, birthday present for Sarah. June's switching is an example of intrasentential switching, where she switched to another language in the middle of a sentence. Now, when Max found out that June is also on her way to buy a present for Sarah, he replies, "그래? Is that so? I was also on my way to buy a present too. 같이 갈래? Want to go together?" Both of Max's switches were intersentential switches, as they occurred as separate sentences. Okay, now that that's all clear hopefully, let's get back to the project. Why should we study code switching in Korea? Well, English is the current global language, the lingua franca, and as I mentioned before, after the entry of South Korea into the global industry post-Korean War in the early 1950s, the spread of English in Korea escalated. Many English loanwords were integrated into the Korean language. Learning of English as a second language was on the rise as the need to assimilate into the Western culture was prominent and required for the expansion into a global market. An interesting byproduct of the increase in bilingualism was in fact code switching. In Lawrence's research paper, The Korean-English Linguistic Landscape, it was concluded that, in Korea, English served as a marker of modernity, luxury, and youth. So, would this attitude then be reflected in the production of Korean dramas? Would there be a higher frequency of code switching from English to Korean in dramas targeted at a younger audience as opposed to those targeted at an older audience or not? Hence, for this project, 2 particular questions were asked. Number 1, is age demographics a factor taken into consideration when it comes to code switching? Number 2, what are the possible purposes of code switching use in Korean dramas? In order to determine whether age demographics is a factor, I chose 5 dramas targeted at a young audience, ages ranging from teen to 20s, and 5 dramas targeted at an older audience of the age of 40 and over, and collected data from the first episode of each. These were obtained according to the broadcast times, whereby a younger audience would be targeted during the evening, called evening dramas, while the older audiences would be targeted in the mornings. These are called morning dramas. Whenever a character in the drama would switch from Korean to English, whether it be intrasentential or intersentential switching, the switch was noted down, as well as the character's personality, the situation, and if existent, the opposing character to whom the speech was aimed at. With this, the frequency of switching occurring overall in the dramas was tallied. Note, however, that type analysis was used during the collection of data. meaning that if the same English word was repeated as a single utterance more than once on separate occasions, it was only counted as one switch. Let's take a quick look at an example of how this coding was used.
Hello? Hello? Crazy? 책상이 없나 봐. 책상이 없나 보네.
Here, an intersentential switch occurred, so it was counted as one switch. The character to do the switching was a student of high-class society who is considered the leader of a mean girls trio with a conceited, condescending personality. Her switching was aimed at a student of a poor family. The situation? The poor student's desk was removed from the class as a prank. The dramas chosen, which targeted a younger audience, include Boys Over Flowers, 꽃보다 남자, You're Beautiful, 미남이시네요, Playful Kiss, 장난스러운 Kiss, To the Beautiful You, 아름다운 그대에게, and My Love from Another Star, 별에서 온 그대. Dramas chosen which targeted an older audience include Everybody Kimchi, 모두 다 김치, Lady of the Storm, 폭풍의 여자, Eve's Love, 이베의 사랑, Tomorrow Victory, 내일 두 승리, and My Son-in-Law's Woman, 내 사위의 여자. It was found overall the frequency of code switching in the dramas targeted at a younger audience was 45 times, while the overall frequency of code switching in the dramas targeted at an older audience was only 4. This means there was 11.25 times more code switching occurring in the Korean dramas targeted at a younger audience. Well then, what was the purpose of the code switching which occurred in these dramas? Let's take a close look at a few of these occurrences, starting with the dramas targeted at a younger audience. Boys Over Flowers is an adaptation of the Japanese manga series Hanayuri Tango. It follows the story of Kumjandi, a poor girl from a middle-class family who receives a scholarship to attend the exclusive school for the rich and elite, Shinwa High. She discovers that Shinwa High is pretty much run by a group of 4 filthy rich and handsome boys known as the F4 or Flower 4. Due to her fiery personality, she finds herself being the only one to ever stand up against the arrogant leader, Gu Jung-pyo, and the complications begin. It was found that code switching in this drama was mostly by the higher class citizens.
Oh my god. Terrible!
Here we can see the 3 mean girls trio of Shinwa High doing what they do best, picking on Jandi. And while this isn't code switching, they had even given themselves English names.
우리로 말할 것 같으면 Ginger, Sunny, Miranda.
This furthers the notion that English is in fact symbolizing luxury and also authority, as the girls try to establish their dominance over Jandi by using their seemingly limited English. The F4 also make use of code switching in their speech. This is especially evident in the speech of the group's playboy, Song Woo-bin.
Yo, yo, yo! What's up, man?
However, code switching wasn't used exclusively by the elite. Kumjandi uses humor to mock the F4, playing on their name, Flower 4.
Flower 4는 무슨 Fly 4겠지. 내 말이야, 똥파리들.
Her parents, trying to help her fit into the elite school despite their poverty, use English in order to force her to get on with the trends.
너 김연아 선수 못 봐? 어떻게 너는 젊은 애가 트렌드를 몰라, 트렌드를? 바닥 내놔, 이 지지배야!
It suggests that in Korean dramas, middle-aged or senior citizens using English are usually unsophisticated and are aspiring to fit in or promote their social standings, which is very much reflected in the characters of Jandi's parents. Moving on, You're Beautiful follows the story of a young girl, Minyo, who is recruited as a singer in a popular boy band, Angel, under the guise of her twin brother, Minam. The twins' ultimate goal is to find their mother, who had left them under the guide of an orphanage ever since their father's death. In this drama, the main code-switching character was found to be the boy band Angel's manager. His peculiar, quirky personality is highlighted in the way he switches.
고미남! 내가 고른 보물이 바로 이 녀석이야. 이 녀석의 목소리는 말이지, Unbelievable Miracle! Surprise! 분명은 ANG의 제사의 멤버들이야. 안 되는 Impossible. 이건 신의 뜻이야. God of. Oh my God! Jesus Christ, superstar, okay?
In this way, His almost ridiculous, nonsensical use of English is used to create humour. He argues that English is the most revered, yet feared language in Korea, due to the fact that there is an increasing pressure to speak better English. So perhaps the manager allows for some to relate, while providing comical relief. The same trend of English use by the young, trendy, and modern, or by the older characters who strive to promote their social standing, is seen in the rest of the dramas targeted at a younger audience. Okay, so now what about the dramas targeted at an older audience? What was the code switching like in those? Well, in the rare instances that they did occur, it was again by the young, trendy, and modern. Yet in the drama Lady of the Storm, the dominance theme arises once again. A young schoolgirl is told by her father that she shouldn't use her phone while at the dinner table with the elders. She replies with, I got it.
아빠 말 무슨 뜻인지 잘 알아듣지?
I got it.
Her use of code switching to her father communicates her arrogance and even rebellion. Since English is a symbol of power in Korea, her switch shows her reluctance to comply to her father's words, and although she eventually agrees to obey her father, she creates an impression that she has not fully submitted to his authority. As Maya Scotton states, code switching is dependent on social factors. Indeed, dominance is the main player in this situation, telling the audience, he being the older generation, of her unruly personality. So, it is clear that age demographics is a big influence on the Korean English code switching found in Korean dramas, since it was found that code switching occurred 11.25 times more in dramas targeted at a younger audience than in dramas targeted at an older audience. The use of code switching in the dramas communicate the personality of the characters to the audience. This is possible because of the connotations surrounding the use of English in Korea, which in summary are dominance, trend amongst the young generation, and modernity. I hope you enjoyed this video and thank you so much for watching.
Peace.